Hello again, my friend. It is so good to have you back with me tonight. We are going to wander back through time, back to an Earth that was sleeping under vast blankets of ice. Right here, safe and warm beneath your covers, you can almost feel the ancient stillness. Let your body settle now, adjust your pillow until it feels just right. Breathe slowly, letting the day drift away like a snowflake falling onto a silent field. Now let's drift into the ancient chill together. Tonight I will share 5 gentle wonders from the deep history of our frozen world. Stay curious, but if sleep arrives to carry you off, let it. And if these quiet nights help you unwind, consider subscribing so I can be here whenever you need rest. Now, let's begin. Our Earth has known 5 great periods of ice, vast chapters when cold ruled the land. The most recent of these, the Quaternary Glaciation, began around 2.5 million years ago. Imagine a time when colossal sheets of ice gleaming under a pale sun moved not with any hurry but with the patience of eternity. They crept across continents like a slow crystalline tide, grinding down mountains and scooping out lake basins. The very shape of the hills and valleys you know today was sculpted by those ancient drifting forces of frozen water. There is a haunting idea called Snowball Earth, a time so long ago it is hard to comprehend. Billions of years back, the entire planet may have been wrapped completely in ice, from the highest peaks to the warmest equatorial seas. A shimmering, silent shell of white would have reflected the starlight, sending it back into space. For millions upon millions of years, this peaceful, frozen quiet held the world in its grip. Then, softly, ever so slowly, warmth crept back, and that icy cocoon gave way to the first fragile blooms of life. Travel forward to just 20,000 years ago, a heartbeat in Earth's long memory. This was the last glacial maximum, when ice sheets over North America and Europe grew so immense they were nearly 2 miles thick in places. Picture these heavy, slow-moving rivers of ice, not rushing but flowing like chilled honey under their own enormous weight. They gently gouged deep valleys and wide basins, smoothing the land with a patient hand. The serene lakes and rolling landscapes we find so peaceful today are the quiet signatures left behind by that ancient ice. The woolly mammoth moved through that same frozen world, a creature perfectly dressed for the cold. A thick, shaggy coat of long hair cascaded over layers of insulating blubber, keeping the chill at bay. With their truly massive bodies, they could hold warmth deep inside, drifting comfortably across the endless tundra. You can almost see them now, wandering peacefully across the vast, snowy plains of the Pleistocene, their breath misting in the crisp air. They belong to that icy silence as much as the snow itself. The great rhythm of the ice ages is not random, but follows a cosmic pattern. It is driven by what are called Milankovitch cycles, the slow, graceful wobble of the Earth, and the gentle changes in its orbit. These are movements so grand and leisurely they play out over tens of thousands of years. Think of it as a deep, celestial breath, inhaling and exhaling across the ages. As the planet's tilt and path around the sun shift ever so slightly, the climate responds, cooling and warming, calling the ice forward and then letting it recede once more. Close your eyes and picture a time when the world was wrapped in a great cold, and the sea levels fell like a slowly exhaled breath. This gentle retreat revealed the Bering Land Bridge, a wide and grassy plain stretching between 2 continents. The land was open and serene, carpeted in wildflowers and grasses that whispered secrets under a pale, low sun. Across this tranquil corridor, ancient families journeyed with their children and their dreams, while woolly mammoths and grazing horses ambled alongside. Their migration was not a race, but a gentle meandering, a soft rhythm of footsteps on the living earth. This quiet path was a bridge of connection, a thread of land that now lies submerged, its story resting deep beneath the cold waves. Now, let your mind drift to a quiet meadow where a colossal stone sits in solitude, far from any mountain. This is a glacial erratic, a giant boulder carried for hundreds of miles by ancient ice sheets. Imagine the slow, powerful creep of the glacier, cradling this rock with unstoppable patience as it moved across the land. When the ice melted and retreated, it gently set the boulder down, like a sleeping giant left behind in a soft green bed. Seeing this solitary rock, rough and textured against the smooth grasses, is to witness a fossil of motion. It is a quiet monument, a lingering whisper of the vast, flowing ice that once shaped these fields. Touch its cool surface, and you are connecting with a journey that ended ages ago, yet remains perfectly still. Deep within the silent heart of Antarctica, scientists draw long columns of ancient ice from the deep, like reading pages from a frozen book. Inside these cores, tiny bubbles of air shimmer in the light, suspended like precious gems. Each minuscule pocket is a breath from a distant past, trapped when snow fell softly and compressed over hundreds of thousands of years. Imagine holding a piece of an atmosphere that swirled around the world long before our ancestors walked the earth. The air inside murmurs of the cool, clean sky of an ice age, carrying with it the story of the planet's gentle temperature swings. To peer into these frozen capsules is to share a quiet moment with the very air that once kissed the faces of woolly mammoths and ancient pines. The retreat of the ice was not an ending, but the start of a slow, artistic creation. For thousands of years, colossal glaciers scraped and carved deep, cradling basins into the bedrock of North America. When the climate warmed and the ice began its long, patient melt, it transformed into clear, cool water that pooled into these sculpted hollows. Imagine the sound of trickling meltwater at first, a soft music that grew into the lapping of waves as the basins filled. Over centuries, these hollows became the Great Lakes, calm and expansive like inland seas. Their surfaces now mirror the passing clouds and the gentle play of light, a peaceful testament to the grinding, creative force that once held this land. Sailing on these waters is like gliding over the Earth's own memory of its icy youth. In the far north, the ground itself is a slumbering guardian of ancient life. The permafrost, a layer of soil that stays frozen year-round, has preserved countless plants and seeds in a state of quiet dormancy for tens of thousands of years. This cold, dark chamber acts as a gentle vault, tucking away fragile biological secrets in its crystal embrace. Imagine tiny seeds, no larger than a grain of rice, holding within them the blueprint of a world long disappeared. The ice cradles them softly, asking nothing but patience as centuries pass like days. When discovered by the warmth of modern research, these sleeping relics sometimes stir, sprouting into delicate flowers that last bloomed when mammoths roamed. It is a soft reawakening, a tender reminder that life endures, waiting in the silent, frozen dark for a touch of light. Our planet does not stand perfectly still in its journey around the sun. Over tens of thousands of years, the Earth gently tilts on its axis, like a spinning top that slowly begins to wobble. This subtle motion causes the angle of our world to drift in and out of alignment with the sun's warming rays. These are called Milankovitch cycles, a slow, rhythmic pattern that nudges the climate into deep cooling phases. It is a celestial dance of patience, where a slight lean away from the light can quietly summon the great sheets of an ice age. Each tilt and shift is like a whisper in the cosmic quiet, a reminder that even the grandest changes begin with the softest of motions. Imagine a world where the familiar landscapes of North America and Europe are transformed into a realm of shimmering white. Around 20,000 years ago, vast ice sheets, some miles thick, flowed across the land, covering nearly a quarter of the Earth's surface. These ancient glaciers spread like a peaceful, frozen blanket, holding the world in a profound stillness. Under an endless twilight, the ice glittered faintly, a silent expanse where time itself seemed to sleep in the cold, crystalline air. There were no sounds but the occasional creak of settling ice, a vast cathedral of frost that stood in serene isolation. It was a moment when the Earth herself took a long, slow breath, wrapped in a hush of pure white. Across the northern reaches of the globe, a different world flourished during those frozen ages. The Mammoth Steppe was a unique, golden grassland, stretching from Europe to the far edges of Asia. This ecosystem was a sprawling, quiet tundra, where the air was crisp and filled with the soft whisper of frost. Massive herds of woolly mammoths wandered here, their shaggy coats dusted with ice as they moved like gentle giants through the pale light. They grazed on the hardy grasses, their breath rising in slow clouds, while the sun cast long, low shadows across the land. It was a landscape of profound simplicity, a serene home for creatures that have long since vanished from the earth. As the glaciers eventually began their slow retreat, they left behind mysterious gifts across the countryside. Glacial erratic boulders are giant stones, sometimes as large as houses, that were carried for hundreds of miles by the creeping ice. When the glaciers melted, these rocks were deposited softly into quiet meadows and forests, where they rest today. They sit in isolation, far from their original homes, serving as silent monuments to the power of drifting ice. Some are covered in moss now, softening their edges, while wildflowers bloom at their base in a gentle display of life reclaiming the land. These solitary stones are storytellers of a frozen past, enduring reminders of a world reshaped by gentle, persistent force. During the peak of the glacial chill, the world's oceans receded as water locked into expanding ice. This drop in sea level revealed a wide, grassy corridor known as Beringia, bridging the continents of Asia and North America. It emerged from the sea like a peaceful pathway, a sunlit steppe where windswept grasses swayed under crisp skies. Early humans wandered slowly across this bridge, following the soft trails of migrating animals like mammoths and bison. Their journey was unhurried, a gentle seep of souls moving eastward, generation by generation, under the wide, watchful sky. It was a quiet migration, a gradual spreading of peoples into a new world, all under the vast, unbroken silence of the glacial dawn. Deep within the frozen heart of Antarctica, scientists have drilled ice cores that serve as a quiet library of our planet's past. These cores, pulled from layers hundreds of thousands of years old, trap tiny bubbles of ancient air like whispered secrets preserved in crystal. When researchers gently study these bubbles, they are listening to the soft breath of a bygone atmosphere, understanding how the Earth exhaled carbon dioxide and methane in eras long before our time. It is a delicate conversation with history, held in the hush of a laboratory, where each minuscule sample tells a story of snowfall and stillness, of ages when the world was cloaked in white. Imagine the patience, the careful hands that unlock these frozen memories, revealing the rhythm of a sleeping world. The slow, deliberate movements of ancient glaciers have sculpted the very face of our landscapes, carving mountains into gentle domes and deepening valleys into serene basins. Consider the fjords of Norway, those graceful inlets where dark, mirrored waters lie cradled between towering cliffs. These were not always there. They were born from the persistent grind of ice, a patient artisan that shaped the rock over millennia, and then, as the glaciers retreated, left behind these tranquil waterways that now reflect the sky like a perfect mirror. The silence in a fjord is palpable, a deep calm that echoes the slow retreat of the ice, where each ripple seems to carry the memory of cold, majestic ages. In those frozen epochs, the woolly mammoth wandered the snowy steppes, a creature perfectly adapted to the chill. Beneath their shaggy, earth-toned coats, a thick layer of fat provided insulation against the biting winds, while their small ears and short tails conserved heat like nature's own clever design. Picture them in a blizzard, the snow drifting softly around their massive forms as they rested peacefully, their breath misting in the frosty air, a testament to endurance and the quiet strength of life in the Ice Age. Their thick eyelashes might have caught the flakes, their gentle eyes seeing a world we can only imagine, a world of white and wind where survival was a soft, steady rhythm. In the quiet depths of European caverns, away from the howl of the wind, early humans left behind a timeless legacy. Pleistocene cave art, painted with soft, earthy pigments, depicts the animals of the Ice Age, mammoths, horses, and deer in flowing lines that seem to move on the stone walls. These images capture not just the forms, but the spirit of that frozen world, rendered in a hushed atmosphere that whispers of dreams and daily life. Stepping into these caves today, you feel the cool air and see the flicker of lamplight on ancient ochre, connecting to souls who once gazed upon these paintings in reverence, in a world where art became a bridge across the cold. As the Ice Ages slowly released their grip, they left behind a hidden gift, glacial till, a rich mixture of ground rock and minerals that nourishes the soil. This gentle process softens the landscape, transforming barren, frozen ground into lush valleys where wildflowers now bloom in warm sunlight, their colors a stark contrast to the white past. It is a promise of renewal, a quiet ending to the long winter where each petal and breeze seems to sing of the Earth's resilience, and the land remembers the ice with gratitude for the fertility it bestowed. I'm glad you're still with me. As we wander through the echoes of the frozen Earth, the story only grows deeper. If you're drifting peacefully, a lake invites other dreamers to this haven. Imagine a time, deep in the forgotten past, when our entire world was wrapped in a silent blanket of ice. The oceans lay motionless under a thick, milky crust, and the land was smoothed over with endless white. The sun, far above, cast its gentle light upon this vast shimmering mirror, but the warmth could not reach the surface. All that golden light was reflected back into the blackness of space, keeping the planet in a deep, frozen slumber. It was a quiet, crystalline age, where the Earth slept peacefully, dreaming beneath its icy shell for millions and millions of years. During a time not so long ago, in the grand sweep of history, massive ice sheets moved gracefully over the northern lands. These were the glaciers, slow rivers of ice that crept forward with a patient, unstoppable rhythm. They flowed silently, inch by inch, over the course of countless lifetimes. Their immense weight carved deep, wide valleys and scooped out peaceful basins from the solid rock. Over thousands of years, they gently reshaped the geography, smoothing the edges of continents and erasing old scars. And when they finally retreated, warmed by a shifting sun, they left behind the rolling green hills that now cradle our towns and fields in soft, verdant folds. Our world does not spin in a perfect, steady way. It gently tilts and sways as it journeys around the sun, like a top slowing down in a quiet room. These movements are part of a grand, celestial dance that plays out over tens of thousands of years. The slow wobble and the shifting tilt change how much golden sunlight touches the far poles. This soft, rhythmic variation acts like a quiet breath, nudging the Earth into long, cold glacial periods and then back again into warmth. It is a slow pulse of winter and summer on a planetary scale. In the heart of the icy steppe, the woolly mammoth moved like a gentle giant of the frost. It carried a deep warmth within, from a thick layer of fat and a soft, double-layered coat that wrapped it in comfort. The winter wind could hardly touch its skin. And those long, curved tusks, they were not just for show, but gentle tools. She would use them to slowly brush aside the powdery snow, uncovering the sleeping grasses hidden beneath the white cover. A quiet, patient ritual to find a meal in the silent, frozen world. In the chilled landscapes of the last ice age, another gentle giant wandered the Americas, a creature of immense calm. The giant ground sloth, as massive as an elephant, moved with a slow and steady grace that seemed to slow time itself. It spent its days drifting through scrublands and ancient forests, a silent shadow among the frost-covered trees. Its long claws reached up to pull at high branches, bringing tender, cool leaves to a gentle mouth. There was no hurry in its world, no rush, only a peaceful rhythm of existence. It was a life lived in perfect harmony with the quiet, cold world around it. Imagine a time 20,000 years ago, when the entire world rested in a deep and frozen slumber. The ice sheets spread far and wide, thick and heavy, reaching their greatest extent during what we call the last glacial maximum. The sea levels fell so much that a land bridge emerged from the chilled waters, a silent pathway of earth and stone connecting Asia and North America. This ancient bridge, known as Beringia, allowed curious creatures to wander peacefully from one continent to the other. Their soft footsteps were muffled on the snowy ground, and the air was still and cold under endless pale skies. It was a world of quiet grace, where every breath was visible in the frosty air, and time itself seemed to pause in the endless white. In those icy days, ancient humans found gentle ways to keep warm and safe. They discovered the soft, flickering embrace of fire, a glowing friend that chased away the shadows and cold. They sewed heavy clothing from animal hides, stitching together warmth to shield their bodies from the biting wind. Huddled together in small, quiet shelters carved from the earth or ice, they shared stories by the ember's light,
and high above, the aurora borealis danced across the midnight sky, painting soft greens and purples in a silent symphony. It was a time of simple wonder, where every moment held a quiet magic.
As the great ice slowly retreated, it left behind gentle gifts, like giant solitary boulders called glacial erratics. These stones were carried hundreds of miles by floating ice sheets, gliding silently over the land before being deposited in distant meadows and forests. Now they rest peacefully, these silent wanderers, far from the mountains where they first began their long, patient journey. Nestled into the earth like forgotten memories, they sit still among the grass and trees, holding the quiet of centuries within their cold, gray hearts. Each one tells a story of a frozen odyssey, a journey of ice and time. The retreating ice also shaped the serene Great Lakes in a slow, patient process, as if nature was taking a deep, calming breath. During the Wisconsin glacial episode, the massive ice sheets melted away, and their waters carved deep depressions into the land like giant, gentle bowls waiting to be filled. Vast amounts of fresh water poured into these basins, creating the shimmering blue waters we now cherish. Reflecting the sky like tranquil mirrors, the lakes hold the quiet stories of the ice in their depths, a calm and eternal beauty that whispers of ancient times. They sparkle under the sun, a peaceful gift from the frozen past. Deep beneath the surface, permafrost acts as a quiet, frozen archive, holding time gently in its chill. It preserves organic materials in a dreamless sleep for thousands of years, a soft cocoon of ice and soil. In these silent layers of earth, ancient seeds and the echoes of prehistoric flora are wrapped in a timeless embrace, resting in peace and stillness. They wait patiently, these tiny pieces of the past, to be rediscovered by a curious hand, like secrets whispered on the cold, still air of a long-forgotten world. The earth holds them close, as if in a lullaby of frost. Billions of years ago, the earth entered a deep and peaceful slumber. It was a time when ice stretched from one pole to the other, wrapping the entire world in a quiet, white blanket. Scientists call this Snowball Earth, a period when the surface became so reflective that sunlight simply bounced away into space. The planet rested in a frozen embrace, calm and still, for ages beyond counting. Imagine a world where the only sound is the whisper of wind over endless ice. There were no seasons of warmth, just a deep, cold quiet that lasted for millions of years. The planet's white shell was like a mirror in space, keeping the Earth in a long, dreamless sleep, and yet beneath that icy veil, life held on tiny sparks waiting for the Great Awakening. During the Pleistocene epoch, enormous ice sheets grew across the northern lands. These sheets were up to 3 miles thick, softly pressing down on the earth with a weight that seemed almost tender. Over thousands of years, the ice moved slowly, carving wide valleys and deep basins into the rock. As the world warmed and the ice receded, those basins filled with water, becoming shimmering lakes that reflected the sky like mirrors of memory. The land remembered the touch of the ice, forever shaped by those gentle giants. These lakes are still waters now, holding the secrets of that frozen time, a quiet testament to the patient sculptor that worked in silence. In those frozen times, the woolly mammoth wandered across a vast, wind-swept grassland called the Mammoth Steppe. This serene landscape stretched across the northern hemisphere, a tranquil sea of rustling grasses. The mammoths themselves were perfectly designed for the cold, with a thick layer of insulating fat and a warm, woolly coat that kept them cozy in the frigid air. These gentle giants moved in slow, peaceful herds, their breath misting in the quiet air, their footsteps muffled by the soft, frozen ground. They were a part of that icy world, drifting through the seasons without hurry, their presence a soft rhythm in the stillness. The earth itself has a slow, rhythmic dance. It tilts and wobbles gently in its orbit around the sun, like a top swaying in a dream. These movements are called Milankovitch cycles, and they unfold over tens of thousands of years. Each subtle shift in alignment changes how sunlight falls upon the planet, gradually guiding the Earth in and out of icy eras. It is a pace so slow that we cannot feel it, a cosmic waltz that shapes the climate with infinite patience. This dance is not hurried, it is a gentle reminder of the great rhythms that hold us, of how the world breathes in ice and breathes out warmth in a timeless, repeating pattern. About 20,000 years ago, the world reached the peak of its most recent frozen moment. This was the last glacial maximum, a time when so much water was trapped in glaciers that the sea levels drifted much lower. Ancient coastlines emerged, and dry land bridges connected continents. Across these pathways, people and animals peacefully migrated, moving with the rhythm of the Earth itself. The world was quiet, covered in a stillness that held its breath, waiting for the thaw that would slowly come. Those pathways are now underwater, hidden by the rising seas, but they remain in the memory of the Earth, a soft echo of those gentle journeys. Long ago, during a time of great cold, ancient people found shelter deep within limestone caves. There, the soft glow of firelight flickered across stone walls, casting warm amber hues that kept the darkness at bay. With gentle hands, they painted the animals that roamed outside, capturing the quiet grace of bison and deer in ochre and charcoal. These hidden sanctuaries stood as a peaceful refuge from the biting winds and endless snow of the tundra. Inside, the world was still and safe, a glowing cocoon cradled in the heart of the Earth. Even today, we can sense the calm that must have settled over them, a quiet gift from the stone. Beyond the cave entrance, the frozen world held other quiet wonders. Across open meadows and silent forests, you might come upon a great boulder resting alone, far from its birthplace in a distant mountain range. These glacial erratics were carried for hundreds of miles by vast sheets of ice that once blanketed the continents. When the ice slowly melted, the stones were laid down softly, left behind like forgotten travelers. Now they sit in quiet stillness, their contours smoothed by wind and time. They are solitary figures at peace in landscapes that have gently accepted their presence, each one a quiet echo of a frozen age. There is a deep, patient silence around them, as if they are still dreaming of their long journey. And as the ice shaped the land, it also performed a quiet vanishing act. In the high, dry cold of polar regions, ice can transform in a way that seems almost like a secret. This process, called sublimation, allows frozen crystals to turn directly into an invisible vapor without ever becoming liquid water. Imagine a glacier slowly exhaling, its ancient ice rising as a soft mist that blends into the pale blue sky. There is no rush, no sound, just a slow release that happens over centuries. Standing beside such a glacier, you might feel a deep stillness, as the ice silently returns its story to the heavens. It is a gentle fading, a dissolution so subtle that the air barely stirs, and the glacier becomes lighter, its edges softening, as if it is dreaming of becoming sky. When the ice finally recedes, it does not leave nothing. It leaves behind gentle rolling hills of rock and soil called moraines. These sinuous ridges trace the path where the glacier once rested, like soft ribbons draped across the land. They mark the furthest point of the ice's embrace, a quiet memory of where the frozen river held the Earth. Walking along a moraine, you can feel the subtle contours shaped by millennia of pressure. The stones are mixed with fine silt, all left in a peaceful jumble, as if the ice simply set down its burden and drifted away. Now these hills are covered with grass and quiet trees, sleeping under the sun. They are the silent signatures of ancient ice, a gentle memory of a colder world. And if we delve deeper, we find that the ice has kept a more intimate record. Deep within the Antarctic ice sheet, scientists drill long cylinders of ancient ice, pulling up a frozen library that extends back hundreds of thousands of years. Inside these cores are tiny, sparkling bubbles, each one a sealed capsule of the atmosphere from long ago. By studying the air trapped in these delicate chambers, researchers can read the Earth's breath, feeling the slow rise and fall of temperature through the millennia. It is like holding a whisper from the distant past, a quiet, continuous pulse that tells of a world that shifted inch by inch. Every bubble glimmers with the light of a sun that shone upon a different Earth, and in that frozen stillness we find a profound connection to time itself. The Milankovitch cycles reveal a gentle truth about our planet, a slow dance that unfolds over tens of thousands of years. Earth does not travel in a perfect, steady circle. Instead, it tilts and wobbles, tracing a path through space with the quiet patience of a sleeping giant. These soft, rhythmic shifts alter how sunlight falls upon the surface, like a dimmer switch on a lamp, gradually changing the warmth that touches the land and the oceans. This subtle change guides the world in and out of deep ice ages, a peaceful rhythm that has shaped the very ground beneath our feet. It is a celestial lullaby, reminding us that even the heavens move with a tender, unhurried care. During the last glacial maximum, nearly a third of Earth's landmass was draped in a peaceful, heavy blanket of ice. Massive ice sheets, some miles thick, drifted across North America and Europe, their weight a soft, silent pressure on the ancient Earth. Over countless years, this slow, frozen river sculpted the quiet valleys we see today, carving out landscapes like a gentle artist working in dreams. The world was still, held in a long, cold embrace that whispered of endurance and time. Imagine the hush, the deep quiet of a planet sleeping under that immense white cover, as glaciers moved with the patience of centuries, shaping the future with every slow, grinding inch. The Mammoth Steppe was a vast golden grassland that stretched across the frozen north, a serene world from another time. Here, woolly mammoths moved like gentle shadows, their tusks catching the low winter sun as they grazed on the dry, sweet grasses. Ancient horses ran in quiet herds through the tall, whispering vegetation, their movements fluid and graceful under the pale sky. This landscape existed in a delicate balance, sustained by the cold, dry air of the Pleistocene, a harmonious community where life unfolded slowly. Every breath of that crisp air carried the scent of earth and endurance, a timeless peace that held the land in a soft, unbroken stillness, long before modern sounds ever reached these shores. Deep beneath the ocean floor lie dropstones, solitary pebbles with a quiet story. Once, they were carried by floating icebergs, passengers on a journey across dark, cold seas. As the ice slowly melted, these small stones drifted downward through the quiet water, a slow, silent fall like a leaf from a tree in autumn. They landed softly on the seabed, resting there like ancient whispers, reminders of a time when the world was frozen and still. Each dropstone is a memory, a tiny capsule of a glacial age, now nestled in the muddy dark, hearing only the faint, distant song of the deep currents as they sleep in their permanent peace. The phenomenon of glacial flour unfolds when heavy glaciers slowly grind bedrock into a fine, silken powder. This delicate dust, carried by meltwater, flows into alpine lakes with the quiet grace of a dream. As it settles, it tints the water a luminous, milky turquoise, a color so pure it seems to hold the light itself. The scene is one of absolute stillness, a moment where time pauses, and the lake becomes a mirror to the sky, reflecting a peace that soothes the soul. It is a reminder of the gentle power hidden in slow processes where rock and ice and water meet to paint a masterpiece of tranquility, inviting us to rest and simply be. Paleoclimatologists journey to the heart of Antarctica, where they drill deep into the ancient ice, pulling up long, gleaming cylinders of frozen history. These ice cores are like columns of captured time, holding tiny, shimmering bubbles that have been sealed for hundreds of thousands of years. Each bubble is a breath from the past, preserving the very air that once wrapped around the world in a colder age. They are silent witnesses to epochs gone by, letting us gently listen to the whispers of the planet's long memory. In the quiet laboratory, scientists study these fragile archives, and the stories they tell are soft, slow, and full of wonder. Imagine holding a piece of the sky from before the dawn of civilizations, cradled in ice.
Doggerland was once a gentle land bridge, green and low-lying, connecting Great Britain to mainland Europe. It was a world of rolling meadows and quiet rivers, where deer grazed and hunters might have walked in the soft light. But as the ice sheets pulled back and the ocean slowly rose, this peaceful terrain began to submerge. Over centuries, the waters crept in, claiming the land inch by inch, until Doggerland drifted into a deep slumber beneath the North Sea. Now, it rests there in the blue darkness, a forgotten landscape cradled by the waves, its stories sleeping in the sediment. The sea keeps its secrets well, holding Doggerland in a timeless embrace, where the sun barely reaches. It is a hidden world of peace and mystery.
During the ice ages, many animals grew coats of thick, woolly fur to survive the bitter cold. These soft, insulating layers trapped a cushion of warm air against their skin, creating a personal blanket for each creature. Mammoths, woolly rhinos, and other beasts moved slowly through the frosted plains, their breath misting in the crisp air. They were gentle giants of the snow, adapted to a world of white silence and glittering ice. Their fur was a gift from the earth, allowing them to roam peacefully through the drifting snows, untouched by the chill. Imagine their quiet footsteps in the endless white, a calm dance through the frozen landscape. The world was their silent sanctuary, wrapped in a cold peace. The Earth's crust remembers the weight of ancient glaciers, and when that weight is gone, it slowly exhales. This process is called isostatic rebound, a rising of the land that happens over countless millennia. Like a soft pillow lifting after a heavy head has rested, the ground gradually returns to its original shape. It is a gentle, almost imperceptible movement, a quiet adjustment that speaks of deep time and restoration. The land breathes in its own rhythm, rising inch by inch, as if the planet itself is stretching after a long, frozen slumber. This slow dance of the earth is a hymn to resilience, a soft song of recovery. It reminds us that even the ground beneath our feet has its own quiet journey, floating upward in a dream of balance. In the coldest corners of the planet, the ground stays frozen in a deep, permanent slumber. This permafrost holds the earth in a gentle, icy embrace, preserving the past for tens of thousands of years. Organic materials, like ancient leaves and seeds, are kept perfectly stored in the silent cold, untouched by decay. It is a time capsule of life, wrapped in frost and darkness, a memory of what once grew under warmer skies. The permafrost keeps its secrets deeply buried, inviting us to imagine the quiet world it holds within its frozen heart. It is a cold cradle for ancient dreams, where the past waits in a silent, crystalline stillness. Holding the echoes of a world long gone, it offers peace in its frozen depths. Drifting so softly now, the ancient ice wraps around you, a gentle blanket of time. The concept of Milankovitch cycles describes the gentle dance of Earth's orbit and tilt over thousands of years. These subtle shifts in the planet's position change how sunlight reaches the surface. The orbit elongates and then rounds again, while the axis tilts and wobbles like a spinning top slowing down. These movements are so slow that no single lifetime can feel them. Yet over millennia, they shift the balance of solar energy, softly nudging the world into a period of cooling or warmth. It is a quiet rhythm, a cosmic lullaby that guides our climate through the ages. Imagine the Earth swaying in space, its tilt changing by just a degree over eons, and in that tiny change, a vast difference in how the sun's rays grace our lands. During the peak of the last ice age, the Mammoth Steppe stretched across the northern hemisphere. It was a vast golden grassland, peaceful and endless. This biome existed where now there is only frozen ground and sparse vegetation. Tall grasses waved in the cold wind, feeding enormous creatures that roamed without hurry. Herds of woolly mammoths and ancient horses drifted across this landscape, far different from the tundra we see today. The woolly mammoth, with its shaggy coat and curved tusks, moved through this golden world like a gentle giant. It was a time of quiet abundance, a steppe that connected lands from Europe to Alaska, a lost world bathed in a pale sun. Imagine the soft rumble of hooves on endless grass, a rhythm that echoed for millennia. The Ice Age is not a single event, but a series of glacial and interglacial periods that have occurred over millions of years. These cycles are driven by the slow dance of Earth's orbit and tilt. During glacial periods, ice sheets grow and cover lands, locking water away in frozen vaults. Then during interglacial times like ours, the ice recedes and rivers flow freely. We are currently living in the Holocene, a warm and quiet interglacial period. This temperate glow allows life to flourish in abundance. In this quiet interval, human civilization has bloomed, nurtured by the gentle climate. It is a pause between the great colds, a breath of spring in the long winter of the ice ages. Massive ice sheets, some miles thick, once flowed like slow-motion rivers across North America and Europe. As these frozen giants drifted forward and retreated, they carved deep, serene valleys and polished the bedrock into smooth, flowing curves. Imagine the immense weight of ice pressing down, grinding stone under its slow advance. The ice moved imperceptibly, yet its power was undeniable. It carried debris and rocks, smoothing mountains into rounded hills. The landscape was sculpted by this frozen river, leaving behind features like the Great Lakes and Norwegian fjords. It was a patient artist, using frost and time to craft the land we know today. The phenomenon known as glacial erratics occurs when massive boulders are carried hundreds of miles by moving ice. When the ice finally melts away in a quiet transition, these solitary stones are left resting in strange, distant lands. They stand like silent monuments from a frozen past, telling tales of the glacier's journey. These rocks can be the size of houses, yet they were moved effortlessly by the slow creep of ice. When you see one, it is like finding a message from another time, a stone that has seen the world change. Imagine a boulder, weathered and gray, sitting alone in a meadow far from its original mountain. It is a reminder of the Ice Age's reach, a wanderer that traveled in a frozen embrace. In the hush of deep time, when the world grew cold, the great ice sheets captured the sea within themselves. The water withdrew, and the ocean sighed itself lower, revealing hidden roads of sand. A vast, gentle bridge called Beringia stretched between continents, quiet and open under the pale sun. It was a temporary world of whispered connections, where the boundaries between lands faded like morning mist. Across these soft plains, curious creatures and early humans wandered slowly, their footsteps leaving no trace on the yielding ground as they drifted from one land to another in a dreamlike migration. The journey was unhurried, a peaceful passage through a world momentarily joined by frost. Long ago, perhaps before memory itself, the Earth may have been a single shimmering pearl suspended in the darkness. They call this the Snowball Earth, a time when the entire planet was wrapped in a flawless blanket of ice. From the peaks of mountains to the floor of tropical seas, everything slept under a silent, white stillness. It was a deep, frozen slumber that lasted for ages, a world holding its breath. Then, ever so slowly, a gradual warmth began to stir, and the icy shell melted back into liquid life, returning the oceans to their ancient, flowing state. Deep within the polar ice, tiny bubbles wait, sealed away for 100,000 years. These are not just empty spaces but frozen time capsules, holding the breath of a prehistoric sky. When scientists gently analyze them, they are listening to the quiet chemistry of a world long gone. It is like leaning in close to hear an old story, one whispered by the atmosphere itself. In those minuscule pockets of air, the ancient past shares its secrets, a soft sigh from a time when the world was younger and wilder. Each bubble is a tiny window, letting us glimpse the pure, untouched air that once circled a sleeping planet. Imagine the glaciers, vast and heavy, retreating with a soundless, patient grace. As they melted back, they sculpted the earth with deliberate hands, leaving behind deep, empty basins in their wake. These hollows then filled with clear, cool water, drop by drop, season after season, until they became vast, shimmering bodies of fresh water. And so the Great Lakes were born, not in a sudden flood, but through a slow, artistic act of creation. Now they rest as peaceful inland seas, their surfaces often so still they hold the sky perfectly, mirroring the clouds in a quiet liquid dance that has soothed the land for thousands of years. At the edge of where the ice once paused, you can still find its gentle signature on the land. These are the moraines, soft, rolling hills formed from the debris the glacier carried within its frozen heart. They are not sharp or sudden, but rounded and worn, like the memory of a lullaby. These quiet ridges trace the furthest reach of the ancient ice, marking where the cold held its ground before turning back. Now covered in soft grass and quiet forests, they lie under the sky as a subtle reminder of the frozen boundaries that once shaped the very skin of the earth. Walking upon them is to tread on a history of ice and patience. Imagine the earth, gently swaying in space, tilting to and fro in a slow celestial dance. This is the rhythm of Milankovitch cycles, where the planet's quiet wobble shifts the kiss of sunlight upon the poles. Over tens of thousands of years, these movements softly drift the world between warm interglacial times and cool glacial periods. It is a grand, patient pulse, a cosmic lullaby that rocks the climate into a gentle slumber of ice and awakening. These cycles are like breathing, an inhale and exhale of frost and warmth, so slow you could never feel it in a single lifetime, but felt across the eons. It is a reminder that even the heaviest ice is part of a gentle, grand design. During the last glacial maximum, roughly 20,000 years ago, massive ice sheets stretched as far south as New York City and London. These shimmering white blankets were several kilometers thick, pressing down on the land with a quiet, immense weight that reshaped the very contours of the continents. Imagine that ice, glowing cold under a muted sun, slowly molding the earth beneath it. The land bore this frozen mantle in silence, and when the ice finally lifted, it had changed the shape of the world forever. Under that frozen burden, the land sighed and sank, giving way to a new topography. The Mammoth Steppe was a vast, peaceful grassland that stretched across Eurasia, a frozen prairie under a pale, wintry sun. It provided a soft, nutrient-rich carpet of grasses, nourishing gentle giants like woolly mammoths and ancient horses. In this serene and open world, life moved in a quiet rhythm, sustained by the cold breath of the ice ages. The landscape was a tapestry of frost and green, where creatures roamed freely beneath the wide, pale sky. It was a time of calm and gentle coexistence, wrapped in the cool embrace of the earth. The wind whispered over the grasses, carrying the scent of cold and the distant calls of ancient beasts. Glacial erosion created the deep, serene basins that now hold the Great Lakes of North America. As the heavy ice slowly slid across the landscape over millennia, it carved out smooth depressions with patient, irresistible force. Then, as the world warmed, these hollows filled with clear, cool meltwater, becoming the mirror-like lakes we know today. These waters are a memory of ice, holding the stillness of ancient winters in their glassy depths. Look upon them and you might feel the slow, cool breath of a time when ice ruled the land. Each lake is a testament to patience, a gift from the slow, grinding passage of ice. Long before that, the oxygen event millions of years ago influenced the long-term climate, creating a delicate balance between greenhouse gases and ice. This ancient atmospheric shift allowed for the first great glaciations, wrapping the Earth in a protective frozen embrace. It was as if the planet learned to hold itself in a cool, quiet hug, nurturing the cycles that would follow. In that balance, the seeds of future ice ages were sown, a gentle promise of frost that would come and go like the tides of a cosmic ocean. And so, the Earth rested in a cycle of warmth and chill, forever dancing with the sun. This balance is the Earth's own tranquil way of keeping time, a soft tick of millennia. In the heart of Antarctica's endless white silence, scientists gently drill into the ancient ice. They seek the tiniest bubbles, trapped in frozen layers like invisible whispers from a distant time. These delicate time capsules hold the very air our planet breathed a million years ago. As we study them, we find a serene story of quiet temperature shifts and atmospheric changes unfolding in slow, patient rhythms. It is like opening a window into a world so old that it feels like a soft dream. There were eras when our entire planet was wrapped in a glistening blanket of ice, from pole to pole, a time called Snowball Earth. In this silent, shimmering world, the ocean slept beneath frozen shells, and life waited in hidden refuges, holding its breath. The sun's light reflected off the ice, casting a pale, gentle glow across the cosmos. Over eons, a slow, warm transition came, melting the frost and bringing life back to the surface in a delicate awakening. It was a profound stillness, a peaceful pause in the planet's long story. As the glaciers grew, they locked away so much water that the seas quietly receded, revealing land bridges like Beringia. These wide, grassy corridors emerged from the depths, connecting continents in a soft, natural pathway. Ancient travelers drifted unhurriedly from Asia into North America, following the easy migration of animals across open plains. They moved under vast, starlit skies, in a gentle flow that shaped the world we know today. It is a tender memory of how the ice helped knit our lands together. Deep beneath the northern lands, permafrost acts as a calm, frozen archive, preserving the whispers of ancient life. It cradles organic materials and old seeds in a chilled embrace, where time slows to a near standstill. In this eternal cold, the remnants of forgotten plants lie perfectly still, their stories untouched for thousands of years. Scientists sometimes nurture these seeds back to life, a delicate blooming from millennia of peaceful slumber. It is a soft testament to the endurance of nature, gently wrapped in the Earth's memory. As glaciers slowly moved, they carried large boulders on their icy backs, smoothing them into rounded stones called erratics. These lonely rocks now rest in quiet fields and forests, far from where they began, sitting in peaceful solitude. They are out of place yet perfectly serene, like sleeping giants dreaming of long journeys. Each erratic is a soft reminder of the ice's wandering path, a story written in stone of a slow, powerful dance. They mark the gentle, enduring travels of frozen rivers that once shaped the landscape. The Earth tilts and wobbles on its axis over thousands of years, a slow, deep rhythm like a spinning top in the vast, still cosmos known as the Milankovitch cycles. These gentle shifts in orbit change how much sunlight reaches the poles, so softly, so quietly, guiding the planet into long, frosty periods and then back into warmth like a deep cosmic whisper. Feel the quiet pulse of the ice, a rhythm born from the Earth's gentle wobble, shaping the frozen landscapes with a tender, steady hand. A lullaby that rocks the world through glacial dreams and interglacial dawns. During the last glacial maximum, roughly 20,000 years ago, massive ice sheets drifted across vast stretches of North America and Europe, like slow, silent rivers of shimmering white. These blankets of ice were sometimes 3 kilometers thick, pressing softly into the land beneath them with a deep, relentless weight, transforming the world into a frozen, still expanse. Feel the deep, quiet cold, where the ice whispered secrets to the stone and the earth slept under a crystal blanket, dreaming of warmer days in a vast, white silence. The Mammoth Steppe was a vast, wind-swept grassland that stretched across the horizon during the Ice Age, a golden sea under the pale sun. It supported a peaceful community of giant creatures, including the woolly mammoth, whose thick, insulating coats kept them warm against the biting chill, their deep breaths misting in the cold air. Imagine the soft, endless plains, the slow, steady movements of these gentle giants, a quiet life before the thaw, where the wind carried the scent of ice and earth, so vast, so still. Glacial erratic boulders are giant stones that were carried hundreds of miles by drifting ice before being gently deposited in new landscapes, like silent travelers on a frozen river. Today, these stones rest in fields and forests, serving as ancient markers of where the ice once flowed, now settled softly into the earth. Deep, still presences in the sunlight. Feel the quiet weight of these boulders, holding the memory of a colder time, a whisper from the ice that shaped the land with a soft, steady hand, a silent sentinel of the past. The Pleistocene epoch, which spanned from about 2.5 million to 11,700 years ago, saw a series of rhythmic glaciations, a slow, deep breath of the planet. This era created a world of shifting contrasts, where emerald forests would slowly transition into quiet, snowy tundras like a soft, white heartbeat. Imagine the Earth dancing between two worlds, the freeze and thaw of the ice, a gentle cycle that shaped the land with a tender, cosmic touch, so vast, so still. In the deep, warm hush of limestone caverns, where winter winds can never reach, ancient hands once painted with soft earths and minerals. They brushed ochre and charcoal onto the stone, bringing bison, deer, and horses to life in the flickering lamplight. These images, so delicate and still, were tucked away in that silent dark, a secret art from a frozen world. Feel the warmth of the cavern, the gentle curve of a painted line, a whisper of life from ice ages past. The paintings rest there now, sheltered and timeless, breathing in the quiet earth. As the ocean slowly pulled back from the land, a wide, soft plain of grass rose from the deep. This was the Bering Land Bridge, a vast, silent path that connected Asia to North America. Herds of animals and early humans drifted across this grassy plain, their footsteps light on the earth. Imagine the breeze stirring the tall stems, the sun low on a horizon that stretched forever. It was a gentle migration, a floating journey between continents, guided by the retreat of the ice. The land bridge held them in its open hand, a peaceful passage under the sky. Feel the soft soil underfoot, the scent of wind-blown grasses. It was a bridge made of silence, linking two worlds in a cold, ancient time. Deep within the Antarctic ice, the coldest heart of the world, there is a frozen library sealed in layers of time. Tiny bubbles of ancient air are trapped there, delicate spheres that hold the very breath of a world long past. When scientists coax these bubbles open, they can inhale the atmosphere of a planet from hundreds of thousands of years ago. It is like breathing in the sky of a mammoth's era, tasting the air that once stirred prehistoric forests. The ice preserves these whispers in perfect stillness, a cold memory of the Earth's ancient breaths. Each bubble is a tiny world, a snapshot of the atmosphere, waiting in the deep blue silence. The ice cores sing a quiet song of the past. When glaciers retreat, they leave behind soft, curving ridges of soil and rock called moraines. These long, gentle hills wind through the valley like sleeping giants, tracing the ghost-like path of the ice as it slowly melted away. The land remembers the weight of the glacier in these quiet forms, a memory carved in stone and soil. Walk upon them and feel the smooth pebbles underfoot, the shape of ancient ice still lingering in the landscape. The moraines curve and rest, a soft lullaby in the earth, where the frost once held dominion and then released it into warmth. They are like the land's breath after a long exhalation, a gentle testament to the ice's retreat. We live in the Holocene, a warm and stable interglacial chapter, a time of soft rains and golden sunlight. The earth cradles us in this peaceful interlude, where the seasons flow like a quiet river and the sun lingers on green fields. It is a cradle for human civilizations, nurturing our growth with gentle hands. Feel the warmth on your skin, the steady rhythm of this long summer after the deep freeze. The Holocene holds us close, a soft breath in the long sleep of the ice, a lullaby of mild breezes and tender light. This warm chapter is our home, a fleeting haven in the vast history of cold, a gift of interglacial peace. Close your eyes and let the whispers of deep time carry you away. Let go of the day and sink into a story of ice and slow awakening, a world sculpted in frost and silence, where the Earth's oldest secrets breathe in the dark. Picture a time when the entire planet was a single, shimmering crystal, a snowball floating in the vast dark of space. From the highest peaks to the equatorial valleys, every inch was wrapped in a deep, unbroken frost. This silent sleep lasted for millions of years, a pure white stillness that held the world in a glassy embrace. Then, slowly, like a whispered secret, warm volcanic gases rose from the seafloor. They drifted into the sky, a soft breath that nudged the ice away, waking the earth with the gentlest touch, letting life stir once again under a warming sun. In a time not so far back, an immense icy veil was draped over the north of the world. It crept downward, covering the land that would one day be named New York and Chicago, a frozen ocean of blue-white stillness. The glaciers were miles thick, their weight a soft, deep pressure that molded the earth beneath. They carved great hollows, patient and slow, shaping the basins that would, in the fullness of time, become the Great Lakes. Each depression was a memory etched in stone, a testament to the quiet, transformative power of ice. For 2.5 million years, the Earth swayed in a long, glacial dance. The Great Ice Age was not one unending winter, but a series of frozen pulses, a rhythm of advance and retreat. These cycles were guided by subtle shifts in our planet's orbit and tilt, gentle celestial turns that altered the sun's warm kiss on the surface. It was a cosmic lullaby, a slow, tilting waltz that drew the ice across continents and then, with equal grace, coaxed it back again, letting forests and meadows breathe in the warm pauses. Drifting across the vast, silent mammoth steppe were creatures built for the deepest cold, the woolly mammoths. They were wrapped in a thick undercoat of soft wool, and beneath it, a layer of fat 4 inches deep, a warm blanket knitted by evolution itself. Their small ears and short tails were not shortcomings, but gentle designs to hold warmth close, to lose nothing to the bitter air. Each breath was a small cloud in the frozen silence as they moved slowly, their tusks curving like old ivory stories, a quiet procession through a white and endless world. There was once a land where no sea rolls now, a green and marshy plain that tied Britain to the shores of Europe. They call it Doggerland, a lush corridor of reeds and shallow waters where ancient beasts roamed freely. It was a low-lying world of soft mud and whispering grasses, a bridge of life over what is now the deep North Sea. But the ice ages ended, and the waters began to rise, a slow, insistent tide. Inch by gentle inch, the sea reclaimed the land, draping it in a blue and silent shroud, a sunken dream held in the cold, dark embrace of the waves. Drift now on these ancient currents, where ice gave way to life, and the earth remembered its own quiet song. Let the warmth of this deep history wrap around you, and sleep in the stillness of ages past, cradled by the slow, steady rhythm of the planet's heart. Feel the deep chill of the ancient world, where the air bit with a cold that seeped into bones. Ancient humans survived by crafting warm clothing from animal hides, the fur soft and heavy against their skin. They sought shelter in the quiet depths of limestone caves, where the silence was so deep it felt like a blanket. Within these peaceful sanctuaries they lit flickering oil lamps, the light dancing on stone walls. Here, they painted shimmering images of bison and deer, their breath catching in the warm glow. A moment of life preserved in the still, dark earth, a whisper from our ancestors, soft and enduring. Can you smell the oil, feel the cool stone, see the ancient art glowing in the dark? Picture the silent white plains of Antarctica, so vast and still that sound itself seems frozen. Here, ice cores are drilled from the deep, acting as a frozen library. Each core preserves tiny bubbles of air from hundreds of thousands of years ago, delicate spheres that hold the breath of ancient worlds. When researchers study these bubbles, they can almost breathe in the atmosphere of the past, feeling the soft ancient air on their skin. They track the slow rise and fall of global temperatures, a gentle rhythm that echoes through time, like the Earth's own quiet heartbeat, steady and deep. It's a whisper from the ice, a story told in frozen breath, a connection to the deep, cold past. Close your eyes and sense the Earth's slow, rhythmic breathing. The Ice Age was not one event, but many, a series of glacial and interglacial periods. Each glacial period was a deep inhale of ice, and each interglacial a warm exhale of life. We are in the Holocene now, an interglacial that began 11,700 years ago, a warm and gentle window. This time is a soft, still moment, a quiet breath between the frozen stretches, where the world rests in a tender, sunlit pause. It's a reminder of the planet's ancient, steady pulse, a rhythm that cradles us in its calm, eternal flow. Feel the warmth of this exhale, a gentle gift from the ice. Many of the world's most serene landscapes, like Norway's fjords, were carved by the slow, heavy movement of glaciers. The ice flowed like a thick frozen river, grinding and smoothing the valley walls with patient strength. As it moved, it deepened the basins, sculpting the earth with a gentle, relentless force. Now, these places hold mirror-like waters, so still and clear that they reflect the sky in perfect silence. The water lies quiet, a memory of the glacier's soft power, inviting you to rest in its calm, deep embrace. These fjords are a testament to the slow, patient work of ice, a landscape shaped by time and stillness. Let the stillness wash over you, like the waters reflecting the ancient sky. High in the Andes and Himalayas, permafrost forms a permanent frozen foundation, holding the earth in a quiet, crystalline embrace. This frozen soil preserves ancient organic materials, suspending them in a peaceful state for thousands of years. Imagine
The Pleistocene epoch, born in the deep breath of time 2.5 million years ago, watched the mammoths of the steppe rise like shaggy dreams from the ice, their thick golden fur rustling in winds that carried stories from the beginning, their long tusks curving elegantly as if sculpted by the moon, brushing the pale horizon where the sun hung low, never quite setting, while they moved across the frozen plains with a grace that belied their size, each footstep a soft thunder on the permafrost, a gentle giant's journey through an endless, silent winter where the stars seemed close enough to touch, and the night sang a lullaby of ice and ancient light. When the last glacial maximum held the world in its frozen spell, nearly 30% of all land lay dreaming under massive ice sheets, their blue-white depths stretching over 3 kilometers into the sky, pressing down on the earth with a weightless patience, slowly, tenderly carving the valleys and fjords that now cradle our towns, shaping the contours of a landscape in a slow-motion embrace that lasted thousands of years, a silent symphony of pressure and release, leaving behind a memory in stone and soil that we walk upon today without hearing its whisper, a legacy of ice that sculpted the very bones of our planet. The Milankovitch cycles sing an ancient song as the Earth wobbles gently on its axis and traces elliptical paths through the cosmos. This subtle celestial dance lasting tens of thousands of years, altering the caress of sunlight on polar realms, each tilt and turn softly nudging the planet into a cooling phase, allowing ice to bloom like delicate crystals unfurling in the quiet dark, a slow breath that transforms landscapes, a cosmic rhythm that hums beneath our feet, barely felt but ever present, guiding the seasons of ice and green in an eternal swaying waltz of light and shadow. In the deepest sleep of the Arctic permafrost, ancient seeds and pollen grains rest in a frozen slumber, these tiny capsules of life from millennia past, perfectly preserved in the silent cold, holding within them the DNA of forests that whispered under skies before human memory, the fragrance of flowers that bloomed when mammoths roamed, and the quiet potential to awaken one day, to stretch green fingers back into the light, as if time could be folded and the past could breathe again through the soft dust of a forgotten summer, waiting in the ice like a secret kept safe for a million tomorrows. Beringia, That wide, grassy tundra bridge once connected the continents of Siberia and Alaska like a peaceful corridor under the shimmering northern lights, where ancient travelers, both human and animal, wandered slowly across, their footsteps soft on the frozen earth, guided by the aurora's ghostly dance in the sky, a silent, timeless migration that painted the map of our ancestors, a moment in the Earth's history where the world was one, united by a land bridge that now lies beneath the waves, a dream of connection in the cold, blue deep, remembered only in the bones of the land and the stories told by the sea. A solitary boulder rests in a foreign meadow, a silent monument carried hundreds of miles by ancient rivers of ice, now dreaming of frozen journeys past. A shimmering shell of white ice encased the planet, oceans dark and cool beneath, waiting eons for a warmth to spark life's first ember. Soft fingerprints of retreating ice carved wide, curving cradles in the rock, now holding alpine lakes that mirror the sky's quiet peace. Over gentle years, snowflakes compressed into dense, glittering ice, capturing tiny bubbles of ancient air, allowing us to breathe an atmosphere from 10,000 years ago. In the deep stillness of the ice ages, the world breathed slowly, a crystalline equilibrium where only wind whispered across endless white expanses. And now, as we reach the end of our journey through the frozen earth, through the deep history of ice ages, it is time to let these ancient images drift away. Your mind has traveled far across silent landscapes and frozen eons. If this quiet exploration helped you find rest, a gentle like below would be a kindness, and if you subscribe, I will be here whenever you need a voice to guide you into sleep. Good night, sleep well, and may your dreams be cradled in the soft, slow breath of a glacial world.
Rest now. Everything is exactly as it should be.